Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at a ship produced and manufactured by the mighty Anvil. I am of course referring to the Hornet Mk1 Tracker, which is the ship you can see in the background in that light blue with a dome on it. I think the Hornet Mk1 is awesome, to be honest, and then when I saw they were removing it permanently, maybe at ship sales or special events, I was like, right, well, because I kind of need a tracker. I think ships like the Terrapin and the Tracker, for example, with the enhanced scanning capabilities that the two ships have, are going to be extremely useful. Now, for me personally, I own the Odyssey, which is a little bit inferior when it comes to like expedition work and exploring, but is a better looking ship in my humble opinion, and I need something I can take in that ship to make up for its shortfalls. Where it excels is the constant supply of fuel that it can supply itself with the mining turret. The Odyssey is lackluster compared to the Carrack in terms of scanning capability. Enter the Hornet Mk1 Tracker. Now this ship I think will suit that need easily and become extremely useful, like the Terrapin. The Terrapin is awesome. Everyone loves the Turtle. It's an amazing ship, but why did I choose the Tracker over the Turtle? Well, simply because this really does double up as an effective scanning ship for exploration and even command and control exercises, but it also doubles up as a fairly strong fighter, right? It's got pedigree to it. It has a classic design language that the Hornets are well known for, and it still has 3 size 3 weapons on board. So even if caught in a pinch, this ship is going to be more than capable of holding its own long enough until help arrives and or you have to leave. So the Hornet Tracker was in my buybacks. I picked one up. It's going in my Odyssey, and I have to admit it was difficult to choose between the Turtle and the Tracker, but overall I think this particular ship will have more use cases than the Turtle would. I'm still going to pick a Turtle up in game because it's just, you know, it's the Terrapin. Everyone loves the Terrapin. It doesn't do much, but people still love it because it's a fantastic ship. The Hornet Tracker Mk1 then I think looks really good. Not particularly fond of the paint schemes, but there are plenty that I can pick up. They are available on the store. So the pledge price for this ship was $150, and I cannot remember how much it is in game, if it is even available in game anymore. I don't think it is. So the Hornet Tracker is going to be very useful. Now I do own a Mark II, and I believe you can swap the components about. The difference is I don't really want to keep faffing around loading and unloading particular components and weapon systems around just to suit a role. I want to have this tracker, upgrade it, throw it in the Odyssey, leave it there, and boom, we're off exploring. So this ship in the middle of nowhere will prove extremely useful. We also know it's going to be extremely useful, just like the Terrapin, for finding those jump points that no one knows about. So maybe you're flying around deep in space, admiring your pretty sweet cockpit, scanning away, and then all of a sudden, boom, you found another jump point that no one knows about. You could either sell that data or keep that for yourself as like a secret route into Pyro, Nix, whatever system it could be. The ship is going to have its uses. I think I will definitely get some extended use out of it for those long voyages, and I hope they remain long. I was kind of annoyed that Pyro shrunk, but it is what it is. I think having a ship of this caliber that can double up as a fighter, as a command and control ship, and a reconnaissance ship, I think really holds well for my Odyssey, right? It's going to be able to do multiple things. So that is something that did draw me in to the Hornet Tracker. I think the way it looks, it's also a fighter. It's a fighter first and then outfitted to become a tracking, scanning, command and control ship. So I was very happy, let's say, to be able to pick one back up in my buybacks, because I think if I hadn't, I would have missed an opportunity. So underneath then you can see that prominent radar. That's the Wilson's radar. It's pretty cool looking. I have to admit, that is new as far as I'm concerned, or at least since I've last seen this ship. I haven't seen it since, but that's the Wills OP Long Look Radar. One of the most trusted names in scanning and deep space radar developed Long Look Radar, or LLR, as a way to upgrade the modern Hornets rather than developing an entirely new ship. Fully loaded with a suite of scan systems, the LLR now brings its raw analytical power to the civilian market, turning an already dependable vessel into a perfect scanning fighter. So that's pretty tasty, I think. In terms of daily driver, of course, no reasons why not. You just can't store any cargo, but bounty hunting, sure. And you can swap, mix and match the weapon systems on here as well. So you could get rid of the dome on the top, for example, and slap a turret in there if you wanted to, and you can still have the chin turret. So there are options to upgrade this for a fighter, but the likelihood that many of us have already got our fighters already sorted. So it is kind of multi-role, this particular ship. It's useful, I think, and will certainly blossom as the game develops, as more features come online. Then I think the Hornet Tracker has a lot to offer at a fairly respectable price, although I don't think you can get them anymore. So yeah, picked one up. It's going in my Odyssey, and if there's room in the Odyssey, I'd probably have some sort of proper dedicated hardcore fighter in there. It might be a tight squeeze to get two in the Odyssey's hangar, but maybe I'd have the Mark II fighter in there, the Hornet Mark II. I think it might be a bit of a tight fit, but I think having a ship that can scan, find jump points, and can defend your fleet because of the fighting pedigree that the ship comes with, command and control, there's a lot, reconnaissance, you're really getting quite a lot of utility out of a ship that wasn't designed to be a scanner from the ground up. Now, it does have some disadvantages to the Terrapin, of course. The Terrapin is just essentially a flying tank, and it's designed to go deep into atmospheres and survive the most crushing of pressures and find you those really rare items or points of interest that the verse has to offer. But it does lack in the firepower, as this one doesn't. So we do have the 3 size 3s, and again, you can swap these out to fix, mix and match whatever your particular needs are when you're carousing and perusing around the verse. So there's a lot of pluses to this ship. It really is starting to make sense to me. So it does have some unique advantages over the Terrapin, right? So the firepower is one, the maneuverability is the other. The Terrapin is a fantastic ship, but it's really designed for going into places that are really high pressure, which in its own way will benefit you because you're going to be able to find things that other players are not going to be able to find. Those interesting artifacts, special points of interest and things of that nature. Now, under the ship itself, you can see it has a nicely stored missile rack, very similar to a Raptor or an F-35. And even the landing gear animations are really cool on this ship. You see his tricycle, but the feet flip and the wings rotate in and out, which is really cool. So we have a swept wing for landing configuration, and then they unfold for flight configuration, which is a pretty cool thing to look at. And then, of course, we can't gloss over this ship without talking about the engine. The engine is superb. I love the engines on most ships in-game because I think the animations are great. This particular Hornet is no exception. Big, powerful engine that's going to become, is going to be extremely useful. Right, let's take a look at the stock weapons and components for the Hornet Tracker Mark 1. Okay guys, here we are, trusty DPS calculator. And as you can see, we have an abundance of weapons that you could choose, mix, match and throw in. You could have the nose turret on there as well, which is, I believe it's the 2 size 1 Bulldogs. But, you know, customize at your heart's content. So we could have the nose turret. I think you can throw pretty much anything on there. Yes, you can. And then we have the 2 weapon hardpoints as well. But I just leave it with the size 3s. I've not felt the need to change anything around too much. Like I said, this is primarily going to be my scanning ship for my Odyssey, and it is using the long look radar as previously discussed. You can adjust that so that you can have the ball turrets in there, as you can see, and you can outfit it with more weapons if you so choose. Missile racks, we have a size 2 Dominator and a 2 size 1 Marksman 1. So we have 2 Dominators, and again, you can change whatever you feel is better for your particular build of ship. I've not touched any of the components at all. Shields, we have 2 size 1s, which are the Targers. I would definitely consider swapping those out, especially when I use this for combat. And then the power plant itself is the Lumacore, which is size 1. Coolers are ice plunges, they're both size 1, and the QT drive is the EOS, but definitely get rid of that. Go for the competitions or the Atlas, gives you the range to get in and around the verse, and I think the Atlas would be the go-to drive for this particular ship. If you're trying to explore and you want to unearth and uncover things, then range is critical, especially when the game gets to a point where we are actually traversing deep space, providing they don't keep shrinking the universe, because that's annoying. Apart from that, pretty standard stuff, easy to manipulate. DPS, don't worry about it. You can adjust that with what you decide to throw on the ship. So, Hornet Mk1 Tracker. Definitely useful. It was close between the Tracker and the Terrapin. I'm not going to lie, I had to sort of overcome my pure desire for the Terrapin because it's just such a fantastic ship. But practically, to have a scanning ship that can defend itself, that's more maneuverable, and will have fairly decent range, I think this was the right decision for me personally. Your mileage may vary. Right, so what we'll do now is begin our walk around of this wonderful, utilitarian, useful ship. Get a bit more flavour. By the way, I found this random island in Hurston. It's mine. I've claimed it. It's Pindonia now, okay? It's my island, and I'm not telling you where it is. It's gorgeous. So, yeah. As you can see, tricycle landing gear. 2 landing gear at the front, and one at the 2 landing gear at the back, sorry. 1 at the front, and a chin-mounted weapon. Then we have the radar, which I hadn't seen before. I think it looks really cool. It just clears the ground, which is important, obviously. But if you land too hard, there is a possibility that you will smash that into the ground. So just be careful. So we make our way around the front. We have the classic Mark 1 look, right? The Mark 2 is a little bit more rounded, bit more friendly with its curves. Mark 1 Hornet is very boxy and sort of unapologetic about it, which I like. So there we have one of the mounted weapons with a nice light that shines on it, kind of like that. It's a nice touch. Then we have these fuel intakes, and we make our way to the side of the vessel. You can see we're in the landing configurations, which means the wings are swept back, weapons are pretty much stowed to some extent, and yeah, classic look, classic design. The Mark II is superb, and I've got 2 more videos to make. I've got the civilian Mark II, which is almost good to go, and then I need to do the fighting variant. So there'll be a lot of Hornet stuff coming. As we make our way around the back of the ship, so we have nice lights on the wingtips, and obviously the ginormous engine at the back, which might be a little bit tricky to get to because someone left a boulder on my island. Right. Let's get into the cockpit then. Now, I do have some complaints about this cockpit as it stands at the moment, but we'll get in. Nice. Now, the first one, you can see the MFDs are bugged at the moment because the canopy's not even closed. And then magic and sorcery makes that a non-issue, so, you know, don't poke the bear. We'll just leave it as it is. But internally in the cockpit, okay, very nicely laid out. Haven't got a problem with this. I like the MFDs, hardbacks, nice, crisp, easy to read from whatever distance, okay? Normal standard stuff, so we have the 4 MFDs plus the 3 magic ones above us in the canopy. Then we have all these gizmos and things and stuff, and they do stuff and things. Just not at the moment. They don't seem to do anything, and I hope they put the effort in to make them look like they have some function rather than just space decoration. Okay, if they don't, it's not the end of the world, but it would have been nice. So it's a fairly space age cockpit, right? If you forgive the sort of poor analogy. The radar is just, these all need reworking in every ship. They're crap. I'm sorry, there's better ways of doing that. We do have an LCD screen on the HOTAS itself. It is a HOTAS system, of course, and it's nice and comfortable in here, let's be honest. Now, onto my gripes. These lights here, in pitch black space, that is no good, and it suffers the same fate that the Terrapin does. The Terrapin has the exact same problem. Blinding lights in pitch black of space, it's not helpful. Get rid of those or dim them. That would be my only complaint with this ship. So there we go, guys. That was my video on the Hornet Tracker Mark 1. Definitely going to be useful. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you know what buttons to press, and of course I will have more Star Citizen content en route to your location soon. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care. Cheers.